Okay. You know I love Nigel Farage and all the Eurosceptic parties. I just watched a video, and this is in response to that. It was an interview with Nigel Farage, leader of UKIP. They came second in the national elections and the European elections in Britain. But I heard him use sort of one of the things that's the most annoying to me um, is when people misuse the political scale, when they sort of misinterpret it. I recently watched Daniel Hannan on an interview he did with Judge Andrew Napolitano, and he sort of hit the nail right on the head, as he so often does. The term right wing, we've heard this kind of thrown around quite a bit in recent days. We had a Department of Homeland Security uh, sort of a memo that sort of leaked out. Um, Basically, it said that you might be a right-wing extremist if you follow these criteria. You know, there was some basic things that if you had a bumper sticker for Ron Paul or a third party Bob Barr, bumper sticker, you might be a right-wing extremist. It's kind of like that whole, crazy comedy skit that Jeff Foxworthy used to do. You might be a redneck, or you might be a hillbilly, or whatever his thing was if you do these things. Well, for the Department of Homeland Security, apparently, they have a list of criteria as well, and you might be a right-wing extremist if you have a Ron Paul or Bob Barr bumper sticker or a Constitutional Party bumper sticker, if you're an NRA guy, if you're a states' rights advocate, a federalist, if you are a Second Amendment advocate, if you're a returning veteran. Um, I think this is basically, it was a bunch of crap. I mean, really, most people that have, you know, sort of a pro freedom from government kind of an approach or an attitude, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person. And I think they kind of couched it that way, like, oh wow, you're going to resist us when we try to bring down more rules. And now it turns out that they're trying to crush free speech over places like YouTube. If you're talking in a adversarial way about how you're being governed, then you're therefore a threat. You can be imprisoned. I don't know. The Constitution did make some mention of Congress not abridging the freedom of speech, and now of course we're going to have to split hairs and parse this all, and see where hate speech begins. And I was always one of those things is like, you just leave your hands off of it if you're told to leave your hands off of it. Apparently that doesn't mean the same thing to Congress as it does to normal people. Um, but I'm getting this sense that right wing means if you're on the very extreme right wing, I'll do this in your perspective, the right wing is anarchy. There is no government. You are running around doing whatever it takes for you to live. I mean, killing your own food and whatever, making treaties with your neighbors, and that's anarchy. The rule of law is gone. There is no government. You have anarchy. When you start pacing a little bit to the left, then you start to run into things like libertarianism. Libertarianism means, okay, we have enough government to make you not be able to kill your neighbor. There's rules, some basic things that are going to help us coexist. And there will be, I don't know, the lines are a little blurry, but mainly it means that you basically have more freedom. The government exists at your pleasure. Basically, they are there only to stand up for your rights and to defend our shores, like the Constitution more or less elaborated on. But yeah, this whole thing where the right wing suddenly means you're a fascist or a racist, or it's kind of whatever bad connotation anybody wants to add to it. And it really is kind of bullshit, because no, that has nothing to do with right wing. Right wing means freedom from government or excessive government. That has nothing to do with fascism. If you want to go all the way to the left edge of the scale, okay, the left edge of the scale is authoritarianism, where you have absolute monarchies, or like the communists of North Korea or China or the old Soviet Union, or name me some third world, third rate, hostile militaristic government like Congo, or wherever, where you could be shot for just speaking out against somebody's rotten law or something. There you have the leftists. That's the communist thing, is left wing. Authoritarianism in general is on the far left. So this bastardization of the language needs to go away. The right wing is libertarian, and at the far extreme end is anarchy, where there is no government. Okay, the left, that's authoritarianism. Any kind. Monarchy, ruthless oligarchy, communism, statism, fascism, all those absolute, like where government is held up on high and you dare not oppose it, and they're making laws that just rain down on you, like controlling your every breath, your every move, your every thought, your every word. That is the left. And I've seen, like I said, I've seen about 15 different versions of the political scale. At one end is conservatism, at the other end is socialism, or one's capitalism, one's socialism, one's, if you're up here, this is like a quadratic plane now, where you've got a cross, and then where you occur on that quadratic cross is, now you're either libertarian if you're at the top of the scale, or you're authoritarian if you're down here, or vice versa, or if you're at the right end, you're like a fascist, and if you're at the left end, you're like a communist. That doesn't make any sense. Why would a scale like that even occur? You are either a libertarian, who is more, in our instance here in America, that's, if you're a conservative or a libertarian, you'd be at the right end of the scale. But basically, if you're at the left end of the scale, you're something like, Europe, a lot of Europe is socialist, most of it, or you're a communist like China or North Korea, or something even worse like you'd get into in some of the poorer nations of Africa that seem to have a revolution every couple of minutes or so, whether they need one or not. We just need to get back to language, because yeah, I'm proud to kind of stand on the right wing. I don't think I'm an extremist. I mean, like, extremist like how? Like, gonna do violence against people because they don't believe what I believe? Well, no, that'd be stupid. That's not what it's about. We are Americans. I think we ought to be able to have some sort of a civil discourse, even if it's something we're heated about. But I don't know. I'm sorry. My whole argument is, if you're a right winger, you kind of get made to feel like you're like, wow, you're a brutal, oppressive, violent, militaristic, bigot, homophobe, something. Sort of. I just don't get how that can be. I really don't, because wow, we just kind of believe that, those thoughts may occur in people who find themselves at the right end of the spectrum, don't like government intervention, perhaps they're separatists, maybe they want to live away from other people because they just hate people in general. Okay, I get that. There's those kind of people on the left too. The people on the right, however, I find to be correct, because they want to leave people alone and be left alone. Okay, and that's okay. Okay, I get that. I'm with that. Okay, you want to be left alone. You don't like people, you don't like intervention in your life. That's fine. But the other people on the other side want you to do exactly what they make the government that is huge do to you. And that's not right. Because okay, if you're doing nothing but, you're just off by yourself and doing your own thing, and by the way, I'm not making excuses for like the Ruby Ridge type of things or whatever else like that, or the Waco dudes. We can kind of see how things happen for those folks. More so in the David Koresh thing in Waco than the Ruby Ridge thing. That's sort of still unclear to me. But yeah, I mean, we need to get back to where people understand what the term right wing is, because being right wing, it's just as much a point of pride as being left wing is for leftists. They want government control. They want the sort of I call it the nanny state, which I guess that's not an original term. That's something a lot of people use. That sort of cradle to graveness. That's I don't know, just sort of whatever. You got socialized medicine. You got Social Security. You've got sort of social programs out the yin-yang, paid for by taxpayers, for people that just decide not to work or don't want to work. I don't know, but they want the force of government to compel money away from somebody, whereas the people on the right just say, look, just leave me alone to make my money, spend it how I want to spend it, provide for the people I want to provide for, my family, my friends, whatever, and charities, and leave me alone. Can you see how one would be upsetting to the other?